Hi, and welcome to the installation and documentation of our C5DK blog package. We will go through 3 different scenarios of setting up the package. The first, and most common setup, would be the single-user blog. That we would call the standard blog. That would be the most common use of our package. You will find that here, the multi-user blog here, and the news section here. When using our blog package as a news system, we will try to add and explore a lot of Concrete5 functionality. But, let's start with the installation. To install the blog, we assume that you already uploaded the package via FTP, or directly from inside Concrete5. As you see here, the package is awaiting installation. And it is just a question about clicking the install button. And the package is installed and ready for use. You will have access to the package settings page here in the dashboard. Okay, now it's time for setting up the blog. Our blog has its own settings. So, let's look into the default blog settings first. The settings is split up into 4 sections. And, the first section, General Settings, is about setting some preferred functionality for the blog. And, the first setting, Make Title Field Editable. By default, you cannot change the blog title after it's saved and published. This is done because the blog page might have been indexed by search engines, and if you change the title, that search engine index is gone and your page will not be found, but you can of course switch this on here. The next setting is more special for the blog functionality itself. The normal way the blog package is working for creating a new blog is to present you with a page, with a form where you create your blog. But in some situations, where it is not working with your theme, we have made a slide-in form instead. You can try to switch this on, or off, to find your best blog experience. The next thing is images and thumbnails. The default settings you see here is what we thought would be close to reality for most common blogs. But you are of course allowed to change anything to accommodate your blog site. The first thing to consider is the picture save size. This is the maximum size for pictures uploaded to your blog. This tells the blog to downsize the pictures when uploaded. So, when you for example upload a 18 megapixel, a picture with 5000 by 3500 pixels, it will be automatically downsized to the settings given here. The next setting is the thumbnail save size. Our blog package has a very neat feature, where you are able to crop a picture, to fit exactly to the blog page list on your site. Because there is a lot of difference between websites, and the way they are designed. You probably would investigate the page list block, and how it is presenting thumbnails on your site. When you have got the width and height for your picture thumbnail from your page list design, you simply write these settings in here. For this demonstration we will set this to 370 pixels in width, and 270 pixels in height. That will fit into the page list template that we are using on this website. You have to save this before we go on to the next part, where we will add the default thumbnail. So now we have set and saved the size of our thumbnail, we will add a default thumbnail to the site. There probably would be situations where the person who is writing a blog would have problems finding a good picture for that particularly blog. That is where the default thumbnail should be used. That way you will be sure that all your blogs will have a thumbnail, always. So, let's choose a default thumbnail. Click on the select button. We have already uploaded a picture for this demonstration, so I will choose that. You are now ready to crop your picture. And as you see, the loaded picture is way too wide for our thumbnail. So, what you do, is moving the crop window around in the picture to find the desired image for your thumbnail. You can also resize the crop box to get the exact area you want. And you will always be able to see the end result here on the left. There is additional cropping tools here, where you even have the possibility to rotate the picture in 45 degrees intervals. We have now defined our default thumbnail, and we only need to save this to make it public for the blog package. If we go back again, you will see it is present here. The next thing to do is on the Styling tab. In our blog package, we have made a header block, where you have the possibility to present the blog author and publish time for the blog. So for you to be able to change the colors, font size, and margins for that block, we have made it possible here. If you have a page list template that have this implemented, you can make the same for that. In the editor part, here we have some settings for the CK editor. We have, by default, set the editor to be able to insert YouTube videos into your blog post. We have also added the possibility to pick pages to link to in your site. But this is switched off by default. We have done this because it relates to your website permissions. When you enable this, it's all Concrete5 related stuff, and you should familiarize yourself with the permission system inside Concrete5 before using this. You can add permissions to the sitemap for certain user groups here in this dialog. But we will not go into this further for this tutorial. In the Format section, you will have the possibility to switch on, or off, some text styling values. We have disabled the H1 by default, because you have probably already set your header for your blog to H1 header, and we do not want to have more than one H1 header on a page. We are now finished setting up all the basic stuff for the blog. And we are ready for the next part of setting up the blog. The first thing we need to do is creating our page for our blog route. I'll do this through the sitemap page. Actually, the rest of setting up the blog, I'll do by going through all the necessary pages in the dashboard from the top down. That would make it a lot easier to understand the flow. In the sitemap, we need to choose, or create, a parent page for our blog. And in this tutorial, I have already created a page, with a right sidebar template, for our blog route. We have named this blog route page, Standard Blog Page. The page name used in this tutorial, is not required. You can of course, name your blog route page, just as you like. You might think, what about the design and content, on the blog route page? I will explain this in detail a little later. The next thing we need to do, is to set up users, who will be allowed to blog. In the Members section, under User Groups, we will add a new group. You just click on their Add Group button. In here you simply write a name for the group. And in this tutorial we simply call the group, Blog Writers. Users that is assigned to this group, will be allowed to blog. When you are ready, you simply click on their Add Group button. And you will see that the Blog Writers group is created. I'm also going to create a new user. Under their Search Users menu, I will click on their Add User link. And for this tutorial, I will name the user, John Doe. I will give him a password and an email address. And last, I will make this user a member of the Blog Writers group. And remember to click on their Add button. The user is now created. But we have added an extra, full name field for the user. We have done this to be able to show a real name instead of the username on the blog page, where we show published by, in the header. The full name will always have the highest priority over the username. The next thing we need to do, is to go to the menu, Pages and Themes. There is a few things we need to investigate here. Under the Attributes menu, we need to be sure that the attribute thumbnail is present, and that is set up correctly. For the blog to work with thumbnails correctly, we need the attribute present and set up. We need the handle to be thumbnail, and the name to be thumbnail 2. We also need to create a new topics tree for the blog. But this is not necessary. If you do not want to use blog topics, you can skip this part of the tutorial. To set up the topic tree, we first need to go to System and Settings. And in here we need to go to the topic page. There might already be some topic trees here. But for this tutorial, we will create a new topic tree from the beginning. As you see here, we already have some trees that was created by the theme installation. But we will skip these. I do not see it necessary to delete them. You should just ignore them for the moment. So, let's make a new topic tree from scratch. Click there, Add Topic Tree button. You need only to give it a name. It is entirely up to you what name you want to give the topic tree. But for this tutorial we will call it Standard Blog Topic. When finished, click there, Add Topic Tree button. When the topic tree container is created, you only need to add some topics for this tree. So, let's add some. I want a topic called Vacation. Let's create another. Let's call this for Work Related. And a third one. I will call this Music. And the last one. I will call this Art. As you see here, we now have our topic tree. And remember, you can always add or change the topics later. But for this to actually work, we need to create a new page attribute to contain this topic tree. So, we need to go to Pages and Themes and Attributes. And all the way down to the bottom of the page, here you should click on there, choose Type button, and then choose there, Topics attribute. We will give the attribute a handle and a name. For this tutorial, I will name it Standard Blog Topics. Remember, you can name it as you want. It is entirely up to you. Now we need to choose the topic tree that we just created. And we click on Categories to be able to see it in the attribute. We also need to be sure that there, Allow Multiple Nodes to be Chosen, is active. And remember to click there, Add button when finished. And as you see here, the new topic attribute is now created. And now, it's time for setting up the page type for the blog. To create a page type is kind of straightforward. It's a question about clicking the Add Page Type button, and fill out the form. We need to give the page type a name. And in this tutorial, I'll name it Standard Blog Page. And, we need to write a handle. Same name again, but with underscores instead of spaces. And let's choose the right sidebar for page template. We do not want the page to launch in Composer, and the page is not added frequently. We are not allowing more than one page template, namely the right sidebar template. Last, we need to set the publish method. Here we choose there, choose from all pages when publishing. And, remember to click there, Add button to save the page type. We now have our new page type, and the basic detail settings is set. Next, we need to click there, Edit Form button. We are going to add two sets to this page. One for page settings, and one for page content. First the page settings set. and then the page content set. This is one way to set up a new page type. You could go even further, but let's not make this complicated. We need to click the plus sign in the set to add some attributes. In there, built-in properties, I'll choose page name, and URL slug. I'm also going to add public date time, description and the user attribute. The rest is not necessary. We have now added all the page attributes that we need. So let's continue to the page content set. The only thing we need to add here is the composer content block. We have finished setting up the form. So let's go back to the list. And now go to attributes. When publishing new blogs, we probably do not want the pages to show up in the navigation menus. Just think about that you have a drop-down menu at the top of your page, and that you have been writing 3,000 blogs. That would be a long menu. To avoid this, we simply set there, exclude from nav to yes. Next thing to do, is to add our standard content to our page type. Click on their Output button. And then their Edit button. OK. To set up the design of your blog page type, you need to put the page into edit mode. To do that, you simply click on the button with the pencil in the editor bar. Remember, to be able to see this button, and be able to edit the page type default page, you have to be logged in as the superadmin user. This is by design in Concrete5. Mostly because that it's not possible to redo things if you delete blocks that is inherited already on live pages. The first thing I want to add is the title. I'll use the main area for my content. Click in the area and choose Add Block, and then choose the title block. The title block have some options. Please do play around with these. But for this tutorial we are using the default settings. The next block I will use is our own blog header block. Click in the Area tab, and add that block. You will find all our blog package blocks at the bottom of the list. This block enables us to see who has written the blog, and when it is published. It will use the full name if present or the username if not. The next thing I want is a line that will add some space between the header and the content. But remember, this is completely up to you, how you will design this page. The next block to add will be the content block. But remember that earlier we added a composer content block to the page type form. That is the block we want here. Please be aware of this, or it will not work. We also have to be sure that this block is placed in the main area. And that area has to be spelled MAIN. This is the standard default content area for a page type in Concrete5. If this is not the case, it will not work. So, let's add that block. You will find it all the way down at the bottom of the list. And it's called Composer Control. This control block contains the composer content block that we added to the page type form earlier. It is very important to remember this. So, let's add this block. And as you see, it is containing the content block that was added to the page type form. When added, you should see a light blue box saying, "The content page type composer form element will output its contents here." And be sure that this block is placed in the main area, or it simply will not work. The last thing I want to add to this area is to make my readers able to share my blogs. So I will add there, share this page block. Here you will be able to choose which social services to share to. I will add Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and email. But remember, it is still up to you how your page should work. This will give you a nice share bar at the bottom of the blog. We are now finished with the main content area. And now we will add some blog functionality to the sidebar. You can have all kind of blocks in the sidebar, it is completely up to you. We will start to add the Go Back button. This enables readers to easily navigate back to the blog list page. This block is part of our blog package, but can be used on other pages too. We have even added some extra templates for this block, so choose the one you like. But for this tutorial, I will use the default block. The next thing I want to add is the most important component of our blog package, namely the blog buttons block. It is necessary for making the blog work. When added to the page, it will not show anything. But when a user that is allowed to write and publish blog pages comes to this page, he or she will be presented with a menu to manage the blog. So, let's add another block. This time I want to add the topic list block. And because we already created our topic attribute, it will be available in the drop-down here. So, let's choose just that. And when we filter by topics, I want to post my results to a different page. So, I choose my blog root page, standard blog. And the title name. That is entirely up to you, but we will use the default. Again, here I have the possibility to choose a template for this block. I'll choose the C5DK topic list template. That will give it a nice design, and easier to use. And the last thing I want to add to this blog page is the date navigation, or archive, as some would like to name it. I want to filter this block by parent page, and I want to point that to our standard blog page. Let's also pick the page type, standard blog page, and again I want to redirect to a different page, namely our blog root page, standard blog. Okay, let's give it a nice template. Now the design between the topics block and the date navigation block matches up nicely. So let's sum up. We added the title, our header block, align, the composer content block and sharing buttons. And in the sidebar, we have the go back button, our blog buttons, the topics filtering block and the date navigation block. So this is what I would call the essentials for creating a nice single user blog. But remember, you can design your blog page just as you like. But please remember that the composer content has to be placed inside the main area of the page. It will not work if you fail to do this. And the main area in your page template has to be spelled M-A-I-N. It is very necessary to remember. It is now time to save this page. You do that by clicking the green pencil button at the top. The page type is now saved, and we can go back to the page type setup page. Now our standard blog page type is set up and ready to use. The last thing we need to do is to make the blog work from the standard blog root page. We need to make the blog aware of where the blog page would be saved. So, let's go to the blog settings page by going to the C5DK blog settings in the dashboard. There is no blog roots found, so let's create one by clicking on their Add Blog Root button. In the sitemap tree, I will pick the standard blog page that we already decided to use. And then click on the Save button. After picking the blog root page, we are presented with some settings for this blog root page. And the first thing I will do is to set up which users who will be able to write blogs on this blog root. Remember that we already created a user group, namely blog writers. So let's pick that. The editors group is related to setting up a news system. So I will explain a lot more about this at a later stage. The next setting is for the blog page type used on this blog root. We already created our standard blog page type, so let's use that. The default priority list attribute is meant for the news system. So I will get back to this later. we already created the topic attribute, so I will pick that here. The last section is for enabling or disabling functionality for this blog route. And here I will enable the thumbnails and the tags. Let's skip the rest for later in the documentation. So now we have finishing setting up our standard single user blog, and we just need to click Save to use the blog system. This blog route is now ready, and we are ready to look at the blog experience at the blog page in the front end of the site. So let's see how all this will work by going back to the standard blog page on our website. There is nothing here right now. So let's add the last bits and pieces to be able to write our first blog. We need to put the page into edit mode. And here in the main area, I want to add a page list to show a list of our blogs. I'm going to show 10 blogs at a time, and I'm only showing our page type, standard blog page. I'm not going to set up any filtering for this page list, because I want to filter it from other blocks. The page list block has a vast amount of filtering options, and can be used in many ways. But for the blog we will skip this. But, I will set there, enabling other blocks to filter this page list. That way we will be able to manipulate it from outside the page list itself. This is for example the way to make the topic list block and the date navigation block work with our page list. We are going to use pagination for this list, because I only chose to show 10 blog pages at a time. But remember that you can set this up as you like. We will set the location from where this page list will get the blog pages to list, from pages beneath this page. And we will set the sorting order to most recent first. And I would like to show the page name or page title if you like. I want to include the page description. I also want to show the date from when the blog page was published. And last, show the thumbnail image. The rest is not mandatory, so you do not need to write anything. This is only for explaining what these fields will do. The title of the page list. And a message to display when no pages is listed. So, let's click on there, Add button. And the page list is added to the page. Over here at the sidebar, I will start with adding their blog buttons block. Unfortunately the block is not visible at the moment. It should have said, C5DK blogging buttons, only visible for users with blogging permissions. This will be fixed in the final released version of this C5DK blog package. But, let's go on and add the topic list block. Let's choose the standard blog topic tree that we created earlier. And this time we will not post the results to another page, simply because that our page list is placed on this page. Let's remember to add a template to the block. And let's add the date navigation block too. Here we will set the filter by parent page, and choose our blog root page. And also filter by page type. I am doing this to be sure that it is only doing what I want. And I do not want to redirect to another page, again because our page list is on this page. And last, let's add a template to this block too. Now I have all my essential blocks for making our blog work. This is in my opinion the minimum, to have a solid blog system. So let's save our page. That's it. I am now able to use my new blog. But I need to log out as the administrator and log in as my blog user. The administrator would be able to blog too, but only if he or she were a member of the blog writers group. So let us log in as our blog user John Doe. Nothing seemed to happen, but that is normal. You will see here down below, that John Doe is actually logged in. Now I just need to go to my blog root page, standard blog. And, because I'm logged in, as a blog user, I now see the blog editor button. And I'm ready to write my first blog. So, let's click on the new post button. And you are presented with the blog form. We start with the blog title. Let's write, C5DK is testing the blog. And because this is a demonstration, I will use some lorem ipsum text in the description. As you can see here, we have a character counter that tells you how many characters you use in both title and description. This is just a guideline, but it should help you comply with, for example, Google Best Practice. Now it is time to write our blog content. Again here, because this is a demonstration, I will use some lorem ipsum text. I will skip the tags for now, but I will set the topics to vacation so we can filter the page in the page list. And because we already have our predefined thumbnail, we could just use that. But I will change it anyway. I also want to add a picture in the content here. When I click on the image icon in the editor bar, I will get access to my own image manager. So let's upload an image. When the image is uploaded, I simply click on it, and it is inserted at the cursor position in the blog content text. But I will also be able to use the same picture as my thumbnail. And I am able to crop my picture to fit my thumbnail size. You can see the finished result here. So, now we have finished writing our new blog containing a title, a description and some content. I skipped the tags, but added a topic and created a thumbnail for my blog. And I'm now ready to post my blog. This is it. I now have my new blog page containing my header, my posted by line containing posted date and time information. I also have my content containing an image and my share bar. In my sidebar I have my go back button. And my blog editor block is now giving me some extra options like delete this blog page and edit this blog page if necessary. I also have my topics and my archives. And if I go back to my blog list, I also have my newly created blog presented with its thumbnail in my page list. And I'm able to create a new blog. This concludes the first part of the C5DK blog documentation. Thank you for watching.